So Jaye Milley, Paralympian. You were in the London Paralympic Games time trial, ninth place, road race, fifth, pursuit, seventh. These are some epic results.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been an amazing journey. I've been training for the last 10 years now. I had to think about that for a second because it's gone on for so long, in this amazing journey. And London was such a tremendous experience for me because when you think about it, it was 8 years of dreaming, 8 years of breathing, living, cycling. From the time I was 13, I knew that I wanted to represent my country and have the honor of potentially standing on the podium wearing the Canadian national team jersey at the London Paralympics. And it wasn't actually until I was there that it kind of hit me. And it was actually specifically an email from my aunt. My Aunt Carol sent me this email and she said, Jay, I was going through my boxes and I found this article that you did when you were 13 years old. And I just thought you might want to see what it is, right? So she had emailed that to me. And in the article, I say, the reporter asked me, Jay, what are your goals in cycling? And the quote says, to represent Canada at the London 2012 Paralympic Games. That was at 13.
Yeah.
And I knew instantly that this was something that I was so passionate about that I wanted to take it to the highest possible level. And reading that, I was actually in the Athletes Village when I read that email, days before my very first race. And it just hit me. It was like, oh my gosh, it was 8 years of planning, 8 years of drinking, breathing, living, cycling. And to all come together in one moment is the most exhilarating, most exciting, it's simply indescribable. I mean, it's almost every single emotion that you can possibly feel, from happiness to exhilaration to sad to everything all at once. It was truly an amazing experience, and I'm actually training right now, and the ultimate goal is for Rio 2016. So I am on the road to Rio right now, but it goes in 4-year cycles, Danny, and in between, in those 4 years, there's World Cups, World Championships, multiple international races, and every single year, the goal and the biggest race is to win World Championships and have the World Champion jersey on your back, and it's
Rainbow stripes.
exactly,
Yeah.
and arguably, it's the most important race of your life at that time. And so currently I do road and track cycling. So road cycling is kind of like what you would see in the Tour de France. Now I don't do tons of stages like those guys. I do 2 days, I do a time trial, and I do a road race. Time trial is a set course, you against the clock. Whoever has the fastest time at the end of the course wins the race. The road race is a little bit different. You get some team aspect and some really cool dynamics in that. And that's because it's a mass start, set course race. Whoever comes across the finish line first wins the race. I also do track cycling. So and then on the track, I specialize in the pursuit, which is a 3,000 meter standing start race where you basically are pitted against an opponent. And there's certain rules, like in the qualifying round, if you pass him or he passes you, you can't pass him again. That very rarely happens at the level we are at. But, it is a rule, and it is a dynamic that we can use to our advantage. Now, in the finale, let's say I pass the guy, game over, I win the race. Whoever has the fastest time at the end of those 3,000 meters wins the race. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic. All great info. I wanted to ask you about your training because you are a quad amputee.
Yes.
I've got your bio here. Do you want to kind of go through
Right, yeah.
some of your medical stuff
yeah.
here? What,
No
for
problem.
people who can't see you,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
you don't have any you don't have legs, or
Yeah,
you only have one arm. And do you want to just explain in your own words what's going on with your particular disability?
Right. Okay. So I love how you put the air quotations there around disability. I do that all the time. And it's funny, when I do air quotations, it's my version of air quotations, because on my right hand, I've got a full-length arm. It ends in a partial hand, and I have 3 fingers, sorry, and 2 of which are fused together. It very much looks like a paddle, a very small paddle. There's a little bit of gripping motion in this hand, but not a ton. There's enough to hold a pencil or a fork. There's not a lot of gripping power in that hand. As for my left arm, I have a stump arm that ends at the elbow, and I actually have a little bit of a residual off the elbow. So I do have my elbow intact, and I can actually get a little bit of gripping motion in there as well, but not enough to hold anything substantial. Again, it's like a pencil or a fork or something like that. As for my lower body, I'm a double below knee amputee. So that means that I have both of my knees intact, which is very good for cycling. And so basically, I was born this way, and there was no explanation for it. They actually didn't even know. From all the ultrasounds that were done, they had no idea. And when I was born, I came out just the way I am, and they were all shocked. And my mom said there was all these codes all over the hospital, and she said like 100 different doctors came in, and 20 different nurses, and they grabbed me, and she did not even get to hold me in her arms for 6 hours after. And she was shocked, she was worried, she was totally stunned. And they came back and they plopped me in her arms, and they said, "You have a beautiful baby boy. The only thing is that he's missing his hands and his feet. He's perfectly 100% healthy other than that." So I use prosthetics for my lower legs to get around, to run, jump, skip, whatever, do everything. I have cycling specific legs, I have running specific legs, I have snowboarding specific legs. So needless to say, I have tons of different sets.
And that's what I wanted to touch on, is that you don't seem to have been held back. In fact, it almost seems, just reading up about you before we met, to get a grasp of who you are a little bit. I'll just read this from your bio. Growing up, I played soccer on an able-bodied competitive league and played most junior high sports: downhill ski, snowboard, hike, run, now cycle. Keeping a positive attitude, I never let what others perceive as my disability get in the way, which I thought was inspirational. That's so inspirational.
Thank
to
you.
say, you know what, it is what it is, and I'm going to do good at this stuff. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna experience. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna do everything in spite of it.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I owe that all to my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was so lucky, Danny, to be born into the most positive family with the attitude that there was nothing I could not do. They installed this into me right since the very beginning. Ever since my grandmother, my dad, my mom, just right away it was this, you can do anything you set your mind to.
Mm-hmm.
And without them, I wouldn't be where I am. My mom is the most amazing woman I've ever met in my entire life. She has gone through so much hardship in her life, and she always comes out on top. And it's because of the way she raised me that I'm doing the things that I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And I owe them everything. It's all this positive attitude that I'm so blessed and so lucky to have is because of my family.
It's infectious. I'm smiling right now. Not only representing Canada at the Paralympic Games, you're an Olympian. Bronze in the Canadian Road National Championships this year. Bronze at the Delta Presica Italy Road Race,
yes.
World Cup #1. Gold in Montreal at the Canada Défi Sportif. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that was a nice French accent.
Thank you. Bronze in the pursuit at the 2014, in Mexico, the Track World Championships. I'm not Spanish
Aguas
at all.
Calientes.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. It took me a long time to say that.
Okay, thank you. You're making me feel great now. So what's training like for you?
So training is anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week, usually about 6, and anywhere from 2 to 6 hours a day. It can stack up pretty quick. That ranges from on the bike work basically every single day, as well as hitting the weight room and getting stronger in the weight room, specifically for track, because I do both. With track, it's a very short duration, high intensity race, and because of that, you typically need a little bit more muscle mass than on the road.
Yeah.